So is Marvel Rivals dying? I've seen a lot of people talking about Marvel Rivals falling off recently. You know, the player numbers are down. There's been the controversy with the Chrono Shields. I actually just made a video about that. A lot of people were mad about that, by the way. And I've seen a lot of hostility in the community because of it. Not only the Chrono Shield thing, but just overall in general, there's been a lot of negativity surrounding the game. So I just wanted to make a video explaining whether or not I think Marvel Rivals is dying and whether or not it's going to be a 10-year game, you know, like an Overwatch, like an Apex, maybe not a Valorant or a League of Legends. It's going to take a lot of work to get to that level of game, to have that type of longevity. But I think that Marvel Rivals, as of right now, if you want the short answer, I think it can be a 5-year game at least, because I think it has the grounds to be a better game than Overwatch. You know, with the Marvel branding, everybody loves Marvel, and it's a more casual approach. There's a lot more people that play video games casually than they do competitively. So I think that in that aspect, it will be more successful than in a thing like Overwatch, because Overwatch is inherently more competitive. The rank system is pretty bad, but it's a lot harder to rank up in that game than it is in Marvel Rivals. One of the first things I want to talk about is the fact that you can queue into a game as fast as possible in Marvel Rivals, faster than pretty much any of these other games that are popular, that are hero shooters like Apex, Overwatch especially, right? The queue times, I don't know how it is in every single rank. I'm not in the highest ranks of the game, but I will say most ranks, especially if you're below Diamond, the queue times are less than 5 seconds. You know, I'm sure for the majority of people, right? And that's a big thing when it comes to quality of life in a video game. I think is really overlooked, is the fact that you can queue into a game so fast, and you don't understand the value of it unless you have access to it, and then you don't. Like, you go play a game, I keep mentioning Overwatch, but that's literally the closest comparison to a game like Rivals, and how we can understand whether or not Rivals will last and whether or not it will die in the next coming months, coming year, right? So that, I think that's really important, that the game is really easy to just get into a game, have fun. And the other thing I want to talk about with Rivals is the fact that heroes like, or villains like Thanos, haven't even been released yet, right? I'm not really too in the know about Marvel. I don't know about every single hero or villain in the genre, but that's another thing you have to think about, is that when they release a super iconic hero or villain into the game, everybody's going to come back and get on for that hero or villain. Now, it may be a day or a week or a month, we don't even know, but because of that, Rivals is not just gonna be dead in the dirt tomorrow and nobody's gonna play it. Even if they make a bunch of terrible decisions, right? NetEase will still fund the game. It is a Marvel IP. Marvel is one of the biggest IPs in the world, and I don't think NetEase would be stupid enough to give up on something like that, regardless of how low the player count gets. Now, there's 5 people playing the game, of course, they're going to drop it, but I'm sure there's still a lot of people playing the game. I'm sure I put up the numbers somewhere in this video, but it's not like there's 100 people playing this game or something like that. There are still hundreds of thousands of people playing this game all throughout the day. So, you know, the player numbers dropping doesn't really matter. The fact that people are talking bad about the game right now, that's just the trend, you know, and that's how the internet is. That's a whole nother conversation. The internet, when they have a narrative for a certain topic, they like to just sit there and run with it. So, people are gonna keep talking negatively about the game if that's what's popular, right? But anyways, like I was saying, Thanos, for me, I know I'm going to be playing the shit out of this game when Thanos comes out. So, you know, that's the biggest one for me. I love Thanos, even though I don't really care that much for Marvel, and I don't. That's one of the only movies I watched was Infinity War, right? That was a really good movie. You should watch that if you haven't. But yeah, Thanos. Oh, Ultron. Ultron's just about to come out. How could I forget about Ultron? Ultron is about to come out, I think, in a couple of weeks, maybe. I'm not really sure. But that's going to bring a lot of people back to the game. Maybe that's going to bring some positivity back and people are going to start talking good about the game again. But yeah, I think the biggest reason people are talking negatively about the game right now has to do with the Chrono Shield controversy, the rank inflation, and this is kind of something I don't really see people mentioning that often. Maybe you guys are seeing it more than I am, but I think the majority of the community for this game, because they're so casual, it's making people mad when playing ranked, because you'll run into situations where people are really, really, really bad at the game and they're playing ranked because it's a quote unquote casual game. So I think the player base is at fault. And I don't know. I can't say I really blame the player base. Well, no, I can't say that, because if you queue up ranked, it's like, if you want to play the game super casual, why are you queuing up ranked? Just queue up pubs. If you know you're like gonna sit there and not really try your best to win, I think it's not crazy to say to just go queue pubs, right? But yeah, I think those three things, right? The player base, the rank inflation, the Chrono Shield controversy, I think those are the biggest things that are putting a negative light on this game. And this game's not dying. Long story short, the game's not dying. It's going to last at least 5 years. Like I said, there's no way this game doesn't last at least 5 years with the Marvel IP, the queue times, the game's fun. At the end of the day, the game's really fun, right? I think this game right now is still more fun than Overwatch. Now, one thing that could kind of kill the enjoyment of the game is if the supports become even stronger. So maybe remember that one season where Cloak and Dagger ult was like the best ult in the game, and that was the most unfun thing to experience in the game. If they release more supports like that are really, really easy to get value out of, and their support ults are super broken, like Ultron, for example. If Ultron, I don't know, let's say he has another 15-second Luna ult, basically. It's like a Luna ult, like where everyone just survives and he's invulnerable in the ult. God forbid he's invulnerable in the ult. Oh my goodness. I don't know if there's leaks for his kit already or whatever. I don't really care. But if he's anything like Luna's ult, where he's, God forbid, invulnerable, this game could go down a really slippery slope, and yeah, that could spell doom for the game. But as of right now, the game definitely isn't dying. There's still tons of people playing the game. I don't know. It depends on what your definition of dying is at the end of the day, but my definition would be 2 people playing the game. So there's still hundreds of thousands of people enjoying the game. YouTube content's doing good for the game. There's still more viewers for the game on Twitch than there is Overwatch or Apex. You could say Apex is pretty much dead at this point, but that's another video. Anyways, if you've watched this far, I appreciate you. Have a good day. Peace.